They said Fort Brenton was where respect was forged, but for Lieutenant Emma Hayes, it felt more like a battlefield inside the barracks than outside it. She had joined the military not just to serve, but to prove herself. Intelligent, disciplined, and tougher than most, she had one weakness in the eyes of some: she was a woman climbing fast through ranks still dominated by men. Colonel Richard Maddox, a man decorated with medals and a reputation for being both feared and respected, had never liked her. To him, Emma represented softness creeping into the military. Her perfect scores in strategy drills and the way younger recruits admired her only deepened his dislike. Maddox believed she hadn't earned her place, and he was determined to humble her. The incident happened after a training exercise where Emma's platoon outperformed Maddox's in every category. She had strategized flawlessly, moving her team like chess pieces, while Maddox's group fumbled. In the mess hall that night, laughter and whispers buzzed around. Maddox's pride couldn't take it. He cornered Emma in the barracks restroom when only a few soldiers lingered nearby. His voice was low and mocking. "So, Lieutenant Hayes thinks she's a general now?" Emma kept her back straight, her voice steady. "Just doing my duty, sir." That reply, calm but unwavering, stoked his rage. Before she could react, Maddox grabbed her by the collar, yanked her toward the row of toilets, and shoved her head into the bowl. The icy water shocked her lungs as she gasped, humiliation flooding her veins worse than the sting of chlorine. Gasps echoed from the doorway. Two privates had walked in and froze at the sight of their colonel committing such an act. Maddox didn't notice. He hissed, "Remember your place." Then he released her, water dripping down her face, her hair plastered to her skin. Emma stood there for a moment, trembling, but not from fear. From fury. She straightened, wiping the water from her eyes, and stared at Maddox with an intensity that made even him hesitate. She didn't scream. She didn't break. She simply said, "Understood, sir," and walked out. That silence was her weapon. What Maddox didn't realize was that those two privates had already spread the word before lights out. By morning, the entire base was buzzing. Some were outraged, others skeptical. "No one touches Maddox," they whispered. "Even if it's true, he'll bury her career." Emma knew that too. She had two choices: file a report that might mysteriously disappear, or outsmart him on his own turf. She chose the latter. That day, instead of hiding, she reported for drills in full uniform, her hair still damp from the night before as a quiet message: she wasn't broken. During weapons training, she led her unit with sharper precision than ever. She commanded, they followed. Maddox watched from a distance, smirking, thinking the rumor would fade. But Emma had a plan. That evening, she requested a formal meeting with the base commander, General O'Neill, under the guise of presenting her platoon's progress report. Maddox, smug and unaware, was present too. As Emma stood in front of the assembled officers, she began calmly reviewing charts, performance scores, and footage from training exercises. Then, she paused. "Sir, if I may. I'd like to present something else." She clicked a button on the projector. Instead of training footage, a grainy video filled the screen: security camera footage from the barracks restroom. The angle was distant, but crystal clear: Maddox shoving her head into the toilet, holding her there, then tossing her aside. The room went dead silent. General O'Neill's face hardened, his knuckles tightening around the table edge. Maddox lunged forward, shouting, "That's taken out of context." She provoked. But the evidence spoke louder than his excuses. Emma didn't say a word. She just stood tall, letting the silence crush him. What shocked the base wasn't just the footage, it was Emma's composure. She hadn't raged or cried. She had turned humiliation into proof, weakness into a weapon. O'Neill dismissed Maddox on the spot, pending investigation. Within days, Maddox's storied career crumbled under charges of misconduct, abuse of authority, and assault. And Emma? She didn't gloat. She didn't brag. She went back to drills the next morning as if nothing had happened. But the respect she commanded now wasn't just from her platoon. The entire base looked at her differently. Whispers turned into admiration. she didn't just survive Maddox, she ended him. Weeks later, Emma was promoted, but her true victory wasn't in the rank. It was in the quiet shift across Fort Brenton. Recruits began to speak louder against mistreatment. Female officers walked with their heads higher. And Emma Hayes became a name people mentioned not in pity, but in respect. The colonel had tried to drown her dignity in a toilet. But what she did next shocked the base. She drowned his entire career in truth. And she never had to raise her voice to do it.